Greetings, YouTubers. 2006 Trailblazer, 94,000 miles, I do believe. 95,000 miles. And just got done fixing something that's pretty common on these Trailblazers. The transmission line rusting and leaking just out of nowhere. Now, this has happened to me on a couple of other Trailblazers. I had an 02. And I've had two 02s, and this is an 06, and out of four of them, three of them have had this problem. And what happens is, you have a transmission line that likes to rust right about in this area here, or maybe just a little lower, and start leaking and running down underneath the car. And it almost looks like the transmission itself is leaking. And of course, when you see that, it's a pretty exciting time. So what you got to do, and this is what I did, you got this windshield washer unit you have to take out. It's pretty big. You got a couple 10mm bolts, actually nuts you got to take out. Actually, these are probably a little bit bigger. These are 13 on this one, I believe. Let's see, yep, these are 13. You got two of these. One sits down in here, right about there, and you got a secondary one that bolts right there. Now, before you do all that, you got to take off your air cleaner and all that. There's a little lid that sits on top of that, and you take these little screws out on the top of this. Most of you probably know the drill. You got this one here, and you got a hidden one right here that's kind of hard to get to. You pop this cover off, then that'll allow you to get to these bolts here. Then I typically just unhook these little guys here. There's two little electric connectors to the windshield washer, and just kind of put it off the side. And I even leave my hose here. My little hose is connected, because if you unhook these, it's going to start leaking fluid. So after you do all that, then you can kind of get in here and access these lines. Now, what I had to do, mine was actually leaking probably, let's see, right about there. It was just kind of dripping out. And then it was running all the way down and dripping on the very lowest part of the line, which made me think it was actually somewhere near the transmission. So what you got to do is start your vehicle up and kind of get a good look at it. There are a couple clamps down there. It'll make you think it's leaking there, but actually, like I said, this one here, if I put this like this is how it was kind of connected. It was leaking right about where my finger was, right here, and running on the bottom side, but there's a clamp down there that's bolted to the engine, and it was leaking down there, and I thought it was leaking down there, but it was actually leaking up here, running down underneath of this where I couldn't see it. So just kind of verify it. So what I do, I try to get these clips out. You can't get them out, so I just took a little hacksaw and cut it off right here. This is a high pressure transmission line, and then the other dilemma was how to actually get this cut off here. Well, you can take your power steering unit off if you have a real bad problem and you want to get in there and make a nice clean cut. There's 3 bolts here. You can pull this out. I didn't take this out. What I used was one of these guys here, and there was just enough room to maybe turn it a half a turn, so I got it cut about in half. Then I was able just to kind of wiggle this like this and break the rest of the way off. It's not the perfect cut, but I did clean it up a little bit down there, and I was able to slide this hose on here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Find my zoom button here. If you look closely, you can see on the bottom where that clamp is right there. Kind of hard to see. There's a clamp down there. That's where I clamped it and put it on and all that. Those 2 hoses right there, there's a little clamp on the side of the block. It's kind of like a C, like this, like a little hook. Both of those lines kind of clip down in there, and it kind of holds it up against a block of the engine, and then this comes up. But I don't think, if I can shine this light a little bit better, I'd like to show. Oh, okay, there we go. I think you can see it now if I zoom in. Let me find my zoom real quick here. There's the clamp. Actually, it's not as bad as it seems, because I have it all put together right now, but I put this bottom hose on first. I took a bungee cord, and I actually pulled this one up out of the way here. But when you do that, it actually gives you a lot more room here to work with when this is kind of pulled up out of the way. and I was able to slide this on by pushing it down, putting some oil inside of it, oiling it up, lubing it up as much as I could, shoved it as far as I could on there. And I did take some sandpaper and clean it up on that bottom part, and I did the same thing here. And I ran that transmission line on there, and that should hold. So what I had to go through. But like I said, you know, some of you may want to take this power steering unit off just to help you out a little bit, because it's a little frustrating. It's in the way, and there's not a lot of room here. And basically, that's how I fixed this. So it's not leaking. Let me show you underneath here. There's a lot of fluid still under here. Probably a quart. Well, maybe not quite a quart, maybe half a quart. But I didn't drive it very far. I saw it leaking, and I brought it straight here to fix it. So now it should be okay. Also, you know, this is a side note. This is a 2006. On 2006, they quit putting the hooks on the bumpers here. My 02 had them little tow hooks, which I thought was pretty cool. And they're not on this one, so it's something I just noticed today. I just started driving this because I just bought this not long ago. So that's the repair I had to do. You might get lucky and get this little clip out here. Let me grab one of them. Alright, so there's one of them. It's kind of a weird setup. You slide them down in this little grooves right here and kind of pop it down on there. What I did is take a little pick and kind of grab the push down on the side of it there and popped it out. And that's how I got that off. But I could not reuse this. My whole idea was to pull this line out of there and just kind of clean this up and shove this back in there. But what I might do later, you can buy this entire assembly line kit on eBay and some other places for about $80. And I may just go ahead and replace this whole thing and do a video of it a little bit later down the road. But for now, my leak is fixed. Let me start it up real quick. As you can see, no more leaks. Looks good. I'll probably cut a little too much off, but I'd rather cut a big section of this out because you never know where else it's going to be leaking at. But this is about 1 foot long. And I just bought the hose at the local parts store, about $16 for a 4-foot section. I think I used maybe 1.5 feet there. So, but no leaks. It looks pretty good now. Zoom in. So I'm really happy about that. Oh, and one other quick thing. One thing that I have found out in the past, if you go out and buy some of these clamps like these here, I've used up all my smallest ones. These smallest ones you got to watch. If you buy these cheap ones, they will start to strip if you tighten them down too tight. I've broken so many of these little tiny ones. The bigger ones aren't the problem. It's these little tiny ones which are maybe 7/8. Let's see. No, that would be. I guess it would be little. Yeah, little 7/8 ones. I guess little small ones. Let's see here. No, actually, it was it's the 1/2 inch ones. Those things, you know, you got to be careful. They just what happens? To grip the part right here that has the little grooves cut in it, slices. This nut, when you're spinning it, the screw nut, the worm nut, whatever you want to call it, will break these right in two, because I guess this is 50% or maybe aluminum and metal. Is soft metal, but you know, you got to watch these cheaper clamps. But the bigger clamps seem to hold up, and that's the problem I had. I didn't want to over tighten those clamps down too tight, because you got to make sure you have them on there, you know, pretty tight. And I think I got them just about right, but I'll keep an eye on those. So that was the only thing I wanted to tell you. So be aware of some of these aftermarket clips, and I think these came from I'm not sure where they came from. I think I may have ordered them online. I don't know. So, yep. Oh, zinc plated to resist rust and corrosion. Doesn't say what it's made out of. But just be aware of that. Other than that, my leak is finished, so I'm all happy with that. So I just want to make a quick video and show you guys. So if you see leaks under there, this is going to be your problem. I guess what it is this part of the line here is closest to the manifold. And the fan's there, and maybe that heat gets blown down on there with water, moisture, it evaporates and dries, and it causes this corrosion. Then again, The Trailblazers frames aren't exactly something to brag about either. So, but other than that, there you go. Okay, so having said that, that's about it. So like I said, the only thing you got to worry about is actually getting down in there and trying to cut something. Now, if you take this power steering pump completely out, then I think you might be able to get both hands in there, get something down there, and use this and cut that line off. Try to figure out exactly where you want to put that hose on. So other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and until my next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.